seat. We're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning. I'm Justin Smith, your county sheriff. I just came from Cache Lapooter. We got done with the briefing there. You'll have to help me as I stumble through a little bit of this. I had my press officer covering some information, but he's headed off somewhere else. What we're going to do this morning, I'm here. Chief Dement from Poudre Fire Authority is also here as well. And Janice Mount with the American Red Cross, who I'm sure all of you have met and spoken with, is going to talk a little bit. I want to give you an idea what's happened so far, what we're doing, what things look like going into through the rest of this day, at least based on what we know. Last night, 10 o'clock is the last confirmed report we have on acreage, and that estimate was 8,000 acres last night. That was at 10 o'clock. We've had significant growth since then. We know that. We just can't put a number on it right now. We start out by pointing to the map over here you've all seen. Basically, this fire started right back down in this corner. It's gone up and it pushed up. This map doesn't even cover everything because the fire, as it went up yesterday, it spotted across 27 in a few places, actually probably 3 places. We had 3 heads on this fire, and it actually crawled down and got into, we did the evacuations. We knew we'd end up evacuating in the Poudre Canyon. We didn't think it'd be last night. It was last night before midnight. Anybody here from Poudre Canyon? Okay. We got people from so many areas. Let me give you a rundown of how it's progressed in the evacuations that we've done. As you know, it started in Paradise Park area. That was the first set of evacuations. Around 9:30 yesterday morning, we got crews in, started some structure protection. The first thing we did was put up aircraft. So this call came in at a couple acres. We knew what we were up against, so we started aircraft from the beginning. And then that thing, as you saw, ran north, ran up onto Old Flowers Road. We were working evacuations up there. That was extremely difficult. We just didn't have the personnel. We got what notices we could out. From there, after it ran up and got into those 3 heads, we knew it was about to turn east. So from there, we started working up over Risk Canyon, Stratton Park, all along Risk Canyon, the little side roads back in there, Davis Ranch and Whale Rock. And then, as I mentioned, by last night, we evacuated the Poudre Canyon from, I believe, County Road 27 all the way through the mouth right now. I'm not going to tell you every section of that is exactly threatened, but that was the cleanest and easiest way because we knew everybody was going to be impacted in there. Right now, our estimates are 250 personnel on the fire. That's going to increase significantly. I can't tell you by how many. We've got crews active back there. We have air resources up. I'm going to tell you off the top of my head what I've got. There's 2 heavy air tankers they brought in from Canada. There's 2 of the large helicopters we call Type 1s, the big mega helicopters. There's 2 of the Type 3s, the smaller ones, the buckets below. And the single engine air tanker, the small aircraft that are flying up in water and or retardant. There's 1 or 2, and there may be more. We're working to transition this thing to a Type 1 incident team. That's the highest level. Yesterday, very early, we decided to move it to a Type 2, but given the complexity, the threats to all the structures and everything out there, the decision was made, let's move it up to a Type 1. So those are the resources we have now. As this fire moved up last night, I told you it got to the Poudre Canyon. It turned east, it ran along that ridge to the east, and everybody coming out and from a long distance could see from Ted's place the big glow in there. Later in the night, I went home about 1:30. This thing turned to the south, and that's where it blew back. It came back down on us. It's basically a horseshoe shape now. I'm going to step away and just kind of do a point. It's come up and come back down. So here's Poudre Park. We know it got to here, and then it came back around, I'm not even sure, way back over this way. At that point, it made a horseshoe. And some of this, I'm going to let Chief Dement speak to you because it got into some of Poudre Fire's area. It's come back. There's a lot of stuff up in the Risk Canyon area that has not been impacted yet. But we just don't, there's so much smoke back and there's just tons of unburnt, but it's kind of surrounded. We've had to move our command post twice on that. First thing, and I apologize for not getting here earlier, our first focus, as witnessed by all of you being here, has been evacuation. We started about 9 in the morning. We continued them. We're still doing evacuations now. It has not stopped. Every time we thought we were to a point that we'd have a break, we realized there was a new area that was threatened. So evacuations were first and foremost for life safety. Number 2 is structural protection. While this thing was so wild, we weren't putting people out in front of it. You just couldn't impact it. Along areas that we could affect structures, we have been. Right now, the numbers I have, and these are rough estimates, is probably 18 structures burnt or lost throughout this. The first 10 that were reported come from the aircraft, and they simply told us at the end of the day, we think there's about 10 in there. And keep in mind, that's from way up high. They didn't pinpoint anything. They just wanted to give us an idea of it. That's running up north, probably going through the Old Flowers Road area as it turned. Cooter Canyon, the chief down there told us that they believe they've lost 8 structures, burnt or lost down in Cooter Canyon. And then it hooked back around, and I know the chief has one in Cooter Canyon, or in Cooter Fires, and I'll let him discuss that. However, let me tell you this, some tremendous stories of structure saved by these engine crews up there. I witnessed them, and some bang-up folks. We've got 8 hand crews, 15 engines working up there. He put some people back to get some sleep. They're working it real hard. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody, and we're with you.
Thank you.
Let me say the same thing. On behalf of the men and women of the Cooter Fire Authority, we extend our thoughts and prayers to you as well. You know, this is the most difficult time of your life. And we want to be positive, we want to make a positive impact. We know that we can't always do that. So our thoughts and prayers are with you. We've got I know a couple of guys that are overhead from our department. They're some of the best wildland firefighters in America. And I'm not saying that just because they're from our department, because it's true. And we've got to get them to bed because they've been assigned to this fire for over 24 hours and not been to bed. And they're out there. None of us have a lot of sleep. They're out there busting their butts to save some structures. Life safety is our number one priority, and that's why I thank you for evacuating and being here. That means the world to us, because that makes it safer for our firefighters to put themselves into harm's way to save those structures. Because there's, you know, we do our best, but our number one priority is life safety. That's your life safety first, and then our firefighter. And we want to make sure we keep them safe. We've been involved since this fire broke out. We've been on mutual aid, and then it came into our district about 4 a.m. this morning along the Cooter Canyon area and the Risk Canyon area. We've lost a structure in the lower part of Risk Canyon that's in our response area. We've evacuated pretty much our entire western boundary of the Cooter Fire Authority. It includes Redstone Canyon. I see some Redstone people. And the reason that it may seem that was a little premature, but this thing, the winds are supposed to be blowing up to 40 miles an hour from the northwest, and that pushes the entire body of the fire. You just have to look there once and see right where the mountain there, the top of that canyon is, and where that wants to push the fire. We made that call also. The operations chief made that call about 4 a.m. this morning. There was so much smoke laying on the fire, you couldn't tell what was fire, what was smoke, because it was all glowing orange. And so we wanted to make sure that was safe. We've staffed up all of our available reserve wildland firefighting equipment. We won't send our structural firefighting equipment into the wildland areas in these conditions because they're big, they're heavy, they're not agile. We like smaller equipment that's agile, can get in and get out fast if they have to, if they get in harm's way. So we've got that staffed up to the tune of a lot of overtime, but that doesn't matter in this case because we're out there trying to protect what we can. With what Sheriff Smith said, one of the things I just heard is there's pre-evacuation orders going out for Missile Silo Road. There's fire working in the bottom, the mouth of the canyon right now, making a push that way.